Today on CityCast Nashville, I'm thrilled to welcome Reverend Zach Sasser from the Downtown Presbyterian Church to talk about a beloved Nashville tradition called the Waffle Shop. Since 1924, this event has brought people together, with proceeds supporting the church's Fish and Loaves ministry, which provides a hot meal every Saturday all year long to those in need. We'll dive into the history of the church and the century-old event, the community spirit it fosters, and what makes the 100th Waffle Shop so special to this church that prides itself on being open and affirming to all. It's Monday, November 25th. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. Reverend Zach, welcome to CityCast Nashville.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to talk to you about the Waffle Shop. It's been taking place for the past 100 years. What's the deal?
Indeed. The fundraiser is older than the church. The church was started by First Presbyterian, which at a certain point moved to another location. And there was a remnant of the church that remained in 1955 and became the Downtown Presbyterian Church. And it's funny, we just looked through records and things that they were very particular about saying the Downtown Presbyterian Church, because their ministry, their sense of priority about who are they connecting with, who are they here for, is the downtown community of Nashville.
Oh.
And so there was a fundraiser that had been started years before by the women of the church. And it kind of started with Thanksgiving leftovers.
There's just too many?
This leftover turkey. And they were like, right, yeah. And they were like, let's make some turkey hash. And so it started with turkey hash. And so the idea was, let's provide something for people while they're down here shopping in the downtown environment around Christmas time, and just raise a little money for the ministries of the church. And then I don't know how Waffles got involved with it, or exactly when Waffles got involved with it, but it's ongoing. And the thing is, it supports our Saturday morning meal that we do. So every Saturday morning, we feed around, I don't like saying that, because that's when you say feed, it makes it sound like you're talking about cats. You know, like we have neighbors, we have people we love,
right?
We have a relationship with, and many of them don't have houses to live in, and they're hungry, and they come by on Saturday mornings, around 150 of them, and we have a hot meal, and we call it our Fish and Loaves, not fishes, because fish is already plural. Fish and Loaves meal, and we involve members of the community. If you go to the website dpchurch.com, there's a link you can click on to be a part of that. So it's a real community interchange to come together and say, hey, people are hungry. Let's do something about it today. So that's really what the Waffle Shop is about. We have one fundraiser that raises enough money to do meals on Saturdays for the entire year. We have some sponsors that get in on it. So like Hattie B's gives us the chicken at cost so that we can do that. And then Frothy Monkey gives us coffee, and Puckett's gives us bacon. You can get turkey hash, or I think there's grits, coffee or spiced tea, things like that. First Thursday in December, December 5th.
Okay.
And tickets are for sale on our website. They're $15 if you buy them ahead of time. If you show up at the event, they're $20. There is also a Christmas store with like baked goods and crafts and even handmade ornaments from Egypt, from a member of our church who lives in Cairo now. And a silent auction that has everything from hotel stays to plane rides. We're going to have a little mini concert for Dr. William Taylor, our organist. We have this massive pipe organ, and he's going to put it through its paces, and then we'll sing some Christmas carols. So it's just massive, huge. You got to be part of it. Then we also have like a tour of the Egyptian revivalist sanctuary that we're so proud of.
Yes, please, please. I'm going to stop you there. I really want to hear more about this architecture.
Okay. Our sanctuary is in what's called Egyptian revivalist. There is a great video on our YouTube channel that is done by Jim Hubler, who's our historian, that gives you all the correct dates and things, but I will not give you. But the reason that it has an Egyptian theme is I've been told that we can blame Napoleon.
Oh, always.
Yeah, right. Why not? Apparently, part of his conquest went into Northern Africa, and he brought back all of these architectural designs and ideas. And I'm assuming stole a bunch of stuff, as we do, from Egypt. And we found this influence propping up. It was kind of a fad during that, like the early 1800s. And if you think about things like the Washington Monument, like that's an Egyptian plinth. And there are different places where you see it around. But again, it's a fad from the 1800s. So there aren't a whole lot of them left. So the sanctuary was built in like 1820 something. And the same architect that built the State House, James Strickland, built the sanctuary at Downtown Pres. And as you go in, there are stained glass windows that are Tiffany stained glass that are totally irreplaceable and beautiful. And they're designed to be like you're going down the River Nile. As you go forward, you're going towards the Temple Karnak. You might ask yourself, why would you have a non-Christian temple in a Christian church? Again, at the time, it was an architectural fad. And we have the hope, the expectation that the sanctuary is a place where we come together with God, which is the same hope that they had in the Temple Karnak. There's a long argument, a long conversation to be had about adoption of other culture, symbols and different things like that. And I think we definitely can hold ourselves accountable to that. But there are some beautiful places of connection. Like the symbol of the sun god Ra is in there. And it was a symbol of eternity and of hope. Part of the reason why that remnant stayed there was to offer this beautiful architecture, this space that makes you go for the community.
I grew up here. I grew up going to Westminster Pres, and I think we took a field trip. I don't even know how old I was, but I remember seeing this architecture and being just completely blown away. Is it open to the public?
On our website, there's a link where you can request a tour, and we'll do our best to accommodate that if you want to go to the website and request a tour. We're also a part of the art crawl because we have artists in residence who are part of our church. We have a section of our building that we've designated for artist studio space. And we usually will have tours in the sanctuary available while the studio downstairs is curated by our artists.
Well, back to the stained glass windows. Do you have a favorite one?
No, I don't. And I'm glad you brought that up because we've had a generous donation to allow us to light them a little better, a little more uniformly and beautifully for those who pass by in the evening. And on December 1st at 7 p.m., we're going to have a little gathering, which anybody is welcome to come to, where we'll have a presentation about the stained glass windows. And we'll go across the street and it'll be just like the Christmas light fight, you know? 1, 2, 3.
I mean, I used to count the stained glass windows, like the panes at Westminster Pres
Yes.
as a kid. So
I had somebody recently tell me that as a kid, they would just imagine themselves floating down the Nile as they looked at the windows.
Well, that's way cooler.
Yeah. And that's kind of the design of the sanctuary too. Like the way that the seats, the pews are kind of like in a slight arc around them. And it's intended to convey being in a giant boat, just going down the Nile towards the temple. So like always moving towards the interface with the divine.
What time are your services on Sunday?
11 a.m.
Great. Well, then everyone can go check that out for themselves.
That would be wonderful.
We're back with Reverend Zach Sasser.
Hello.
And I'd like to learn more about the ministry and mission of your church. Connecting with downtown community means something very different nowadays than it did 100 years ago. What's it like being the pastor of a historic church that's located in the middle of one of the country's drunkest neighborhoods? Do you get tourists? Do they come on in after their bottomless brunch?
We do get tourists. I have not yet experienced anyone coming in drunkenly.
Good.
However, I'm sure there are stories. I've only been here for about a year.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. I tell you, when I came here to interview, one of the things that I asked for in the interview was the opportunity just to walk around the church. And I wasn't actually anticipating doing that in the evening, but the person on the committee that I was working with said, "Oh, you want to walk around the church? Let's do that tonight."
Oh.
And I think it was a Friday night. And we walked down to Broadway and then back up around and just learned some stories about how things had developed over the years and where things are now and all that kind of stuff. But we do have tourists that come in, and it's really interesting. Most of the tourists that come in to worship are people who want something familiar and who worship regularly in their churches at home. And we get people from all over the world. But in terms of the drunkenness of the community, I don't know that I have a great answer for that other than we just stand witness. We do our best to stand witness to something else. It's really interesting when my window in my office, I'm sitting right now, faces the street and tour buses come by and I get to hear what the tour people say about the church. And I always want to walk up to the window like I'm in some kind of exhibit, and just wave at them.
Right.
But of course, we have all the, the bridal parties and all that kind of stuff going by. And so that's part of the reason why we're having the lighting of the windows that I just mentioned. I have no expectation that somebody who came downtown to have a good time, and getting hammered is a part of that they're going to look and see, our beautifully lit sanctuary and go, oh yeah, that's what I need. I should go to church instead.
Right.
It's probably not going to happen. At the same time, I remember in my church in Louisiana, that's where I was for the last 13 years, a church member who was absolutely way down on his luck and was driving by and heard the sounds of the church at Christmas. And it changed his life.
Mm-hmm.
He came in and he's been an incredible member of the church. He helped found a AA program there. So you just never know. So we just stand witness. We try to be faithful to who we are and let people know that we're here.
I love to hear that because, as we go into this next year of kind of divisiveness that's taking place in our country, I'm hearing a lot of faith leaders, I'm hearing a lot of political leaders saying that we need community more than ever. How are you going to amplify this mission of your church in order to, I don't know, comfort us all? Or
that's a good question, and it's a hard question.
I know it's a very hard question, but I need the answer.
We are a progressive congregation. We're an open and affirming congregation. When you go to our website, there's a little rainbow flag on the browser, and we have other ways in which we're engaged in the community in terms of with our values. At the same time, I'm aware that this church has received bomb threats in the past. And I'm aware that this church, the members of this church, care deeply about the opportunity to be this witness that they are. And so there is concern over messages that might be overly political in a way that could jeopardize nonprofit status. I'll just say that we continue to hold true to those values. When we say all are welcome, no exceptions, we mean it. So I don't know that we're going to be doubling down on a particular stance other than being who we are and being active in the community. I know that this congregation, one of the things that I asked them in the interview process was, what happens if there's some kind of issue like going on in the community and pastors are asked to speak out? Like, are you going to be worried about that? And they said, no, that's kind of a tradition of ours. There are things, there are opportunities that boil up as an expression of community. Mm-hmm. And that's really where they need to start. And for us, it starts with how do we reflect on Scripture? How does it lead us to do and to be? And how do we become a voice for those who may not have one? Sometimes it's just as simple as serving a meal on a Saturday.
Right. Just showing up for your neighbors.
And there's no discrimination in that area as well, like in terms of not just who comes in the door, but who serves with us. We've had people of variety of faiths and of no faith at all who have come and been part of that Saturday witness. We don't ask people when they come in the door to profess Jesus to have a meal or to serve a meal. In fact, actually, I had a guy come in one time who said, hey, I go around, I'm this guy, I have this training. I go around to different places where food is offered and I proclaim salvation. So if you wouldn't mind to hand me a microphone. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. We actually don't do that. And he was very confused.
Wow. Well, so I know people who are listening right now, some people believe in Christian version of God, and then maybe some people listening don't believe in God at all. Are there aspects of your faith that you'd want us to all consider, regardless of what we believe?
Sure. I think that what you said earlier about doing not you didn't say doing unto others, but you said the more of the Jesus' summary of the law. The first part was about loving God with all your heart, mind, soul, and then loving your neighbor as yourself. The second part is where the rubber hits the road, and it's important to find your people, find ways you can love together, and demonstrate the kind of kindness and hope that you see in the world. That word hope is one that I think often gets confused with wishes. And as I think of it, wishes are things that we just want really bad to come true. But with hope, there's a certain expectation. We know that when we come together and do certain things, there are certain outcomes. And I think faith pushes that a little further and expects us to expect something that we don't necessarily see, that there is this God who is engaged and involved beyond us. And sometimes it's hard to see that, whether you have a faith or not. And so it's important just to focus on what we know, which is there is an opportunity to be kind. There is an opportunity to demonstrate the love and mercy that we need to see in the world. One of the things that I tell people, particularly leaders in the church, is that I try to offer the same amount of grace and mercy and forgiveness that I need to receive. And I generally need to receive a lot. And so, so I think that's important, whether you're in the line at the grocery store or driving in traffic.
Yep. Practicing grace.
Just remembering there's another human over there.
Right.
And I think that's the thing, that this whole conflict in our political, like the political system is designed to separate us and to dehumanize, because I keep hearing about, well, those people believe this or those people believe that. Who are these people? And how do we know them? And a lot of people find that even the ones they know, there are families that are not getting together for Thanksgiving this year. And that's really hard. And I can't blame people who are feeling vulnerable and who don't want to go to a family dinner where they won't be called by the right name, where their sense of who they are is disrespected. And I think that's absolutely reasonable to protect yourself from any kind of ongoing injury like that. But at the same time, finding ways to see the human behind those behaviors, behind those ideals, I think that's the place where we need to get.
Well, my last but not least question is, what are y'all doing for Christmas?
Well, of course, it starts with the Waffle Shop at Downtown Presbyterian Church.
That kicks it all off. There we go.
Yeah.
We brought it back.
Yeah. December 1st is going to be that lighting that I mentioned. It's at 7 p.m. For Christmas proper, as we would say in the church. I don't know that we'd say Christmas proper. Advent is the season up to Christmas.
Yes.
That we're preparing ourselves for Christmas. But the rest of the world, particularly those who might not be engaged in it, it's all Christmas. So during Advent, we have a Lessons and Carols service on December 15th, 11 a.m. And then for Christmas Eve at 6 p.m., we'll have a candlelit service that includes communion. And communion in the Presbyterian Church is open to everyone who believes. No one will ask you any questions about that. It's just an invitation to come. And then also on Christmas Day, we'll have a service at 10 a.m. And that service is one that is often attended by folks who just live around or somebody who's visiting and maybe far from home. It's a sweet little service that we have in our chapel.
So you're not busy at all.
No.
Not busy at all. Well, everybody definitely check out the Waffle Shop. It's like 11 to 2 p.m., correct? So it's only 4 hours or so. And how many people do you serve waffles to in that amount of time? Because it's a wild amount.
You would think I would know that question.
Well, I guess I'll just have to go and count for myself.
Right. I mean, we probably get 300 people through the doors. There are some who will come and, not everybody stays for the whole thing, obviously.
Right.
So, so if you just want to come and enjoy the meal, the live music from Les Kerr and the Bayou Band, do a silent auction and a little shopping for Christmas. And I should say parking is at the stadium, and the trolley is one of our sponsors, and they bring people up from the stadium.
Oh, that's a very good thing to note, because parking is so hard to come by here in Nashville.
Right.
Again, Reverend Zach, thank you so much for coming on. This is wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Toodles!